Welcome to Shomach Shov and the Daf. We're holding in Chulin Daf Yod Gimel. The Gemara with base brings Reb Chia bar Abba, the name of Rabbi Yochanan, the Nochim shebechutz la'aretz lav oivdei avos kachavim hem. The Nochim in Chutz la'aretz don't really worship Avodah Zarah. Ela minig avisem biyadem. They're only holding on to the minig of their father. They don't really connect Avodah Zarah. Now already, Tosis comes out from Tosis. Why is the Gemara telling us Dafka Nochim shebechutz la'aretz? Why Chutz la'aretz and not Eretz Yisroel? And Tosis seems to be a little bit of a doichak that if you see in Chutz la'aretz, immediately the same thing applies to Eretz Yisroel, just he's bringing an example from Chutz la'aretz. But the Chasam Sofer over here says like this. He says, really, when you have someone worshiping Avodah Zarah, so there's a debate, how do I look at such a person? On one hand, it makes sense that people don't really know, and they're not so knowledgeable to know all the religious details and to be really worship Avodah Zarah. But on the other hand, how can it be that someone goes and he bows down to a piece of wood? Has to be that he's really connected to this. Because if not, why would he daven? Why would he pray to such a thing? Right? He doesn't realize this thing has no koyach at all. So the Gemara comes and tells us, I'll tell you, people don't know. They're not so religious. So why would someone go and worship a piece of wood? Because meaning of a stand by them. Meaning they don't really know and think too much. They just follow what their father told them. So once you come to that, so he's saying really your svara that people don't know is correct. You asked, if so, how did someone go and start worshiping Avodah Zarah? It's because he has a meaning of Yisayim b'yadem. So in the Sefer, Afrakasta de'anyo chelik gimel, in Yerideh Siman Kuf Nun Aleph, he brings the Chasam Sofer and explains what Chasam Sofer means to say is that that's the difference between Chutz la'aretz and Eretz Yisroel. Because in Eretz Yisroel you have the idea of Eretz Yisroel, avira de Eretz Yisroel machkim. Just being in Eretz Yisroel you become chacham. So if you see Goyim worshiping Avodah Zarah, they know what they're doing. The only svara is that you don't really know what they're doing in Chutz la'aretz. And we have a question, so why are they doing it? Because of the minig of Yisayim. But Eretz Yisroel, they have here the Eretz Yisroel machkim. People are more focused and they know exactly what they're doing, and therefore in Eretz Yisroel they are considered to be oiv de Avodah Zarah. Rav Tzadok HaKohen, in his Sefer Poiket HaKarim Oizvov, he says a dim pshat, and he says the mamish almost a pshat pashut to explain the reason. He said when Am Yisrael were strong and living in Eretz Yisroel, so they did not allow Goyim that are worshipping Avodah Zarah to live among them. There's the Yisur D'Oraisa of Lo Yeshu B'Aretzecha. So which Goyim did live in Eretz Yisrael? Only the ones that accepted upon themselves the Zayin Mitzvahs B'nei Noach. That's the only ones that lived in Eretz Yisrael. So you made this excuse that you have for people that live in Chutz la'aretz, the minig of Yisayim b'yadem, they're just following their footsteps of their father. That only works in Chutz la'aretz. Because there were people that worship Avodah Zarah all the years. But in Eretz Yisroel, the people that live in Eretz Yisroel, they never learned from their fathers to worship Avodah Zarah. Because the fathers that were living in Eretz Yisroel were all keeping Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei Noach. So if so, you don't have that what to rely on to say that the Noach minig of Yisayim b'yadem. As a tzaddik, since when do we say the minig of Yisayim b'yadem? It's from the time the Nevuah Paschal from Am Yisrael. And this goes back to what we learned in Maseches Yumo, that zeh keneged zeh asay Elokim. When you have Nevuah in Am Yisrael, and Am Yisrael are able to connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu through Nevuah, so then you have keneged zeh the Yetzer Hara of Avodah Zarah, the people are nimshach to go to a different direction and connect a different way of Avodah. But once the Yetzer Hara of Avodah Zarah was gone, once you don't have that bad aspect, so Nevuah is gone. Because always the challenges, the two tzdadim are aligned to each other. And if you can get to a very high level of ruchnius, you can chas v'shalom have the opposite. And if one of the sides goes away, the other side goes away as well. So the minig of Yisayim b'yadem that we say by the Ummos that live in Chutz la'aretz is starting from the time the Nevuah Paschal from Am Yisrael. Anyone who wants to join or sponsor the Shomach Shova Shiurim, please email shomachshova@gmail.com.